the aftermath of the Pahelgam episode, it was necessary that we interact with the foreign media present in Islamabad. And I am sure that you must have a lot of questions, a lot of observations regarding the current scenario. And Pakistan's stance has been very clear on this issue. So that's why I've invited you all here today to have a chat on this subject. The Pahelgam episode, which took place a few days back, we must understand, first of all, that Pakistan is a victim of terrorism. No other state has laid down 90,000 lives in the war against terror. And we are the frontline state, we are bearing that brunt. Our armed forces, our law enforcement agencies, our police, our rangers, our civilians, our civil society, they've given a lot of sacrifices. And this is for peace in Pakistan, peace outside Pakistan, global peace. All the sacrifices that have been given, the struggle, the effort that has been made, and our economy has suffered losses of hundreds of billions of dollars. And we continue to counter these terrorists, the fitna al-Khawarij, till date. So we must understand that we're a frontline state against terrorism, and we're a wall between the terrorists and the world. And Pakistan needs to be strengthened in this situation. Pakistan needs to be supported in this situation. And Pakistan has always played its part against terrorist groups, against terrorists, and we continue to do so on a daily basis. And I would like to highlight that the situation in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in Balochistan, and recently you all witnessed the Jafar Express episode, which was an unusual event, which was an event where a hijacking took place. Very few incidents in the world like Jafar Express have taken place. It was a hostage situation like never before. And having dealt with that situation, having countered the terrorists who were holding hostage innocent civilians, we received condemnation from all over the world. Why is it that our eastern neighbor refrained from condemning the Jafar Express episode? It was an act of terror. It was an act carried out by terrorists. It was an act against innocent civilians and personnel of the armed forces. Then why was there hesitation on part of our eastern neighbor to issue a simple statement of condemnation condemning that episode? And why is it that whenever we face terrorism and we counter terrorists and blood is spilt of our innocent civilians and officers and personnel of the armed forces, why is it that the eastern neighbor always celebrates these events? Is there a reason behind that? Yes, there is a reason behind that. And the reason is that India is involved in state-sponsored terrorism. Had we not apprehended Kulbhushan Yadav, who was a commissioned officer of the Indian Navy and was involved in espionage in Pakistan and was found to have been involved in terrorist activities and harboring and supporting terrorists and acts of terror, had we not apprehended Kulbhushan Yadav, had we not obtained incriminating and irrefutable evidence against him, I would not have been making this argument today. And why is it that the terrorists which receive funding and arms and ammunition from our eastern border, that is why when terrorist attacks take place, when acts of terror take place, like the Jafar Express episode, that is why the eastern neighbor does not condemn such acts and does not even have the courtesy to express concern over these incidents. And I would further substantiate my argument through the assassinations of Sikh leaders across the world in Canada and US. Transnational assassinations are taking place through the Indian sponsored state terrorism. A state which persecutes and is involved in killing of members of the minorities across the globe, and other states have given evidence with regard to these incidents. So we will continue to fight the war against terrorism. We will continue to protect the world, the citizens of the world. We will continue to promote global peace and to ensure global peace through countering these terrorists, the Fitna al-Khawarij, which is trying to impose their own ideology in certain areas and is trying to, through acts of violence, through use of force, trying to spill blood of innocent civilians and of army personnel. We will continue to fight this war. This Pahelgam episode, to me, seems like a distraction, because we were gaining a lot of success in our western regions against these terrorists. Every other day you hear of successful operations, you hear of our armed forces gaining a lot of success against these terrorists. And this could have been a distraction, because this story doesn't make sense. The Pahelgam area is more than 150 kilometers away from the line of control. And why pin the blame on Pakistan? Do you have credible evidence? Do you have verifiable evidence? Do you have any argument which is substantiated by evidence or by proof? And why is it that the first information report, which is a prerequisite for any criminal investigation, it was registered in the Pahelgam police station just 10 minutes after the incident? Is it possible for any investigating agency to register a first information report, an FIR, 10 minutes after an incident has taken place? Because for an FIR to be lodged, there has to be visit of the area, evidence needs to be collected, there has to be a complete scanning of the area, forensics take place, and there is usually a time lag between the occurrence and the registration of an FIR. So why is it that right after 10 minutes an FIR is registered and the blame is put on Pakistan, and it is said that it has been sponsored from across the border? The reason that we have called for an independent, impartial and transparent inquiry is because our hands are clean. How can a state which is the frontline state in the war against terrorism be responsible for such events? So I think our eastern neighbor was quick to jump to conclusions, and this false FIR episode actually proves my point that somehow they had preconceived notions about this incident, and maybe the purpose was to pin the blame on Pakistan. And Pakistan being a responsible state, Pakistan being a peaceful state, Pakistan being desirous of world peace, we've had very good relations with all other neighbors. We have very good alliances globally. We're a responsible member of the UN Security Council. And let me also reiterate that Pakistan has got majority of votes when it got elected as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council. We received an overwhelming majority of votes to be elected to that position. And why is it that the Indian state-sponsored terrorism, we have credible evidence of India's involvement in Balochistan, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in harboring, funding these terrorists, in supporting these terrorists. and their extremist ideology through which they are encouraging their people to attack our foreign missions. A very unfortunate incident took place in London. Our High Commission was attacked twice. Stones were pelted. And the people who are responsible are being sponsored by the Indian state and the Indian agencies. And it's very easy to counter a handful of people. But we are peaceful people. But whatever they did, and arrests were made by the London Metropolitan Police, those people have been apprehended. But that is the kind of mindset that the Indian state has of attacking foreign missions in a foreign country. If you can kill people internationally in Canada and US, then nothing will stop you from attacking a few foreign missions. But let me reiterate, they shouldn't at all mistake our words for our weakness. Pakistan has always defended itself. Pakistan will always defend itself. Pakistan has the capacity to respond effectively, like we did in the aftermath of the Pulwama incident, in the aftermath of the Pahelgam. And we are good hosts, so we also served a very fantastic cup of tea on the way out. So my point is that Pakistan has the capacity and the capability of defending itself very well. And we've been tested in the past, and let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we've passed with flying colors. And our enemy has always regretted taking the steps that it did take in the past. So we are capable, we are ready to counter any misadventure with full force and might. But why is it that India sponsors terrorism and then plays a victim of terrorism? How is it possible? Have we not laid down 90,000 lives in this war on terror? Are we still not giving sacrifices every single day? Is the state of Pakistan not going out of its way to eradicate terrorism, not only in Pakistan, but for the sake of world peace? Yes, we are. Then how come an incident take place after which a few videos were shared? Now my question is, there are voices of dissent within India. People are asking questions from the Modi government that how come these dead bodies were not picked up on time, and how come people were led to bleed to death on the spot. I was seeing an interview of one of the sisters of one of the victims, and she said that my brother was not given first aid after the incident. And why is it that a photo shoot takes place and nobody is actually coming to the aid of that man to check his vital signs if he's still alive? And then how come a video of a couple was shared which was attributed to the naval officer who's been killed in this incident, and then that couple actually came on the media and said, this is us, this is not that couple which has suffered in this incident. So why is there a need to use all these measures? So anyone with some intellect can actually see that all these fake videos which are being flooded on social media, all this narrative that is being built, it is being built on very false premise. And the actual target to divert Pakistan's attention from the western region. And I think, like in the aftermath of Pulwama, they took away Kashmir's special status. Now people in Kashmir have been settled there since times immemorial. The indigenous people of Kashmir are being made to suffer the wrath of the Indian state. Houses are being demolished. People are being picked up and detained. Women and children are being subjected to torture. In the garb of this incident, the innocent Kashmiris are suffering once again. And we will and we shall continue to support the right of the Kashmiri people according to the UN resolutions to self-determination. Morally, politically, diplomatically, we shall continue to do so, because that is an indigenous movement. The people want their rights. They are being denied their fundamental rights. And right after this incident, the atrocities that are taking place in Kashmir, They're the worst kind of atrocities that you can imagine. So one ponders that why is it that right after this incident, you build up a narrative against the Kashmiri people, you try to distract Pakistan from its western borders and from its western region, and you're subjecting the Kashmiris to the worst kind of treatment possible. And why wasn't security provided in that area when you have 900,000 security personnel of your armed forces in Kashmir? Then why was there no deployment in Pahelgam being a tourist spot? I'm, in my own right, I want to ask this question. You can deploy 900,000 security personnel in Kashmir to subjugate the Kashmiri people, but you can't provide security for your own people in that region? And without proof, you pin the blame on Pakistan? Why shouldn't the blame be pinned on you? Is my question. It seems to me that this whole episode was done for one of the most valuable resources these days, and that is water. Climate change has affected the world. And let me tell you, sitting in Pakistan, we contribute less than 1% of carbon emissions globally. And when it comes to suffering the consequences of climate change, we are one of the worst affected countries in the world. We've seen floods in the recent past, 2 years back. I've personally seen the flood of 2010, which wreaked havoc. Billions of dollars of loss occurred. Thousands of lives were lost, livelihood, houses. So, water is an issue, climate change is an issue. And to say that we will suspend the Indus Waters Treaty seems to me as an immature and a very childish step. Because I, being a student of law, I've studied some public international law. And I've also studied the law of treaties. What does the law of treaties tell you? What does the law, public international law tell you? That when there are two parties in a treaty and they agree with mutual consent and they come to common terms and they sign a certain treaty, then that treaty cannot be revoked, suspended, or terminated unilaterally. It has to be done with mutual consent. And I was just reading an article by an Indian journalist. I would not like to name him because he's obsessed with Pakistan, tweets 20 times a day, and he has actually criticized his own government and said that the Modi government could not have done this. And Pakistan is an agrarian economy. You very well know that. Agriculture is the backbone of our economy, our exports. And I think this has been done to affect Pakistan's economy and the livelihood of its people, because majority of our people reside in the rural areas, and their livelihood is dependent upon their crop, upon their livestock. This is very unfortunate that you would attempt to suspend a treaty, the right of which you don't have. You don't have the right to suspend that treaty. This was something which has been done prematurely, without consulting legal experts, without actually reading the treaty, which actually has a clause which says that this cannot be done unilaterally. So if you want to usurp Pakistan's water, you don't have that right legally. You don't have that right as per the international best practices, the international law, the law of treaties. You can't do that. This has been seen as an act of usurpation. This has been seen as an unfair and unjust measure. And when the National Security Committee met, and the Prime Minister also made it very clear that any attempt to divert or stop Pakistan's water will be responded to with full force and full might. And the National Security Committee has already said that this will be an act of war. So I think in this whole episode, where Pakistan has acted very responsibly as a member state of the United Nations, as a state which believes in peace, as a state which is the frontline state against the war on terror, and to take a step like this against Pakistan to stop its water, which cannot be done at all, it cannot be done legally, it cannot be done practically, then Pakistan has the right to respond. So I think overall, in this entire situation, where Pakistan has also made an offer to investigate this incident, being one of the biggest victims of terrorism, we are very clear that any misadventure will be responded to. We are very clear that our valuable natural resource being water, any attempt to divert or to stop that water will be responded to in a very strong manner. But having said that, the Indian propaganda, their nefarious designs have been exposed, because now the Sikhs are speaking up and they're saying that we will not fight against Pakistan. The minorities are speaking up, the opposition in India is speaking up, and today I speak to you not as a member of PMLN. For us now, we are a unified voice, we stand for Pakistan, we stand with Pakistan. We will not speak as PMLN, PTI, we will not speak as People's Party, we will not speak as JUI, ANP, MQM. We will speak as Pakistanis. A unified voice is going out, but in India, there are voices of dissent, people who disagree, people who are raising questions as to the security lapse that has taken place, people who are raising questions regarding the intelligence failure, people who are raising questions regarding the aftermath of this incident. And Sikh leaders are speaking up and they are questioning the Modi government, and their stance is in support of Pakistan. And I don't understand that in this situation, people who are obtaining medical treatment are being ousted. Is there no humanity in you? In worst of the worst situations, certain exemptions are granted to certain people. And I was just looking at an interview of a man whose young daughter is receiving treatment in India, and they've been ousted from the hospital. So India has always violated human rights. They've always supported acts of terrorism, and they continue to do so. And I think and they are also now, the Pakistani prisoners that are in India, some poor fishermen who cross the international waters, some poor shepherds who inadvertently cross the line of control of the borders. Extrajudicial killings are taking place. They're being taken out of prisons and they're being killed. This is the kind of brutality that they're resorting to. And they have no respect for human rights. They have no respect for fundamental rights of any human. And their war hysteria can be seen on their state-sponsored media. But let me make it very clear that Pakistan is prepared to deal with any misadventure in a very befitting manner, as we have done in the past.
Sir, I have a question. So we have observed that in the past several days, Pakistan has carried out intensive diplomacy with neighboring countries, such as we know that the Foreign Minister has held a call with Saudi Arabia, Iran, and today is the Chinese Foreign Minister.
Yes.
So how do we evaluate the outcome of these diplomatic efforts? This is my first question.
Thank you very much. We've had a couple of diplomatic conversations. The DPM and the Foreign Minister obviously spoke to the Chinese Foreign Minister today. Had a very good dialogue with the Chinese Foreign Minister. You see, I think we as a nation have very good friendly relations with all the countries that we are in contact with, and we'll see how the situation unfolds. But we are briefing our foreign friends as well as to the situation and how India was quick to pin the blame on Pakistan without any credible evidence. And we are extremely thankful to our friends who are reaching out to us. And India will need to do a lot of effort to actually prove their case. They've just, made an accusation, but they have nothing to back their accusation. These diplomatic talks are going on. Yesterday, the president of Iran had a conversation with our prime minister. So I think these conversations go on, but in these circumstances, the frequency has increased. We are engaged with our foreign friends, and we are having talks with them on different issues, including this issue. This is one of the issues that is also being discussed.
Regarding what you mentioned, the India's accusation, I have a second question. It is observed that the situation on 2021, when Pakistan suffered a terrorism attack in Dassun, Pakistan government and officials accused the Indians raw and analysis wing, which is its intelligence agency, for planning and executive of the attack, with showing a lot of evidence after over 1 month's investigation. Well, this time we have seen that the Indian authorities carried out measures against Pakistan just on 1 day. Indian authorities carried out the measures against the incident of at least 25 people who were killed in Pahelgam, in India-controlled Kashmir. So how do you see the difference of these two aftermaths of the above two attacks?
I think that's a very important question. As I mentioned, that the presence of Kulbhushan Yadav, a commissioned naval officer of the Indian Navy, in Pakistani custody is a big testament to what we are saying, that India does state-sponsor terrorism in Pakistan. And numerous incidents have taken place, including the one that you mentioned in Bisham. And we have, regarding many incidents, we have credible evidence of many incidents. And I'm saying many, I'm not naming any incident, I'm saying we have evidence in many incidents of Indian involvement. And we have incriminating, irrefutable, undeniable evidence of Indian involvement. I will keep a separate session on this day after tomorrow. I will request you again in a day's time. I'm just collating that data. I will present to you data of clear Indian involvement in acts of terror and incidents of terrorism in Pakistan. So yes, many incidents, more often than not, that take place. There is Indian involvement. We have evidence regarding that. And obviously, we are dealing with this menace of terrorism. But this whole false flag operation, as it seems to be, India was very quick to pin the blame without any evidence. That's the difference between us and them. That they registered an FIR after 10 minutes, but we caught their naval officer, we apprehended him, we put him behind bars, we did an investigation, and we like to complete our paperwork. India legally seems to be a novice to me, because steps like suspending the IWT without going into any legal debate, it seems that they don't complete their legal documentation and they just go into media frenzy or war hysteria without completing legal formalities or looking at the legal obligations that they have to comply with.
Minister, thank you for the briefing. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Now, Pakistan has been a victim of terrorism for quite some time, and the state has presented substantial evidence in the past as well. But despite that, why is it that some of the major powers are perhaps not taking the steps that they should be taking in support of Pakistan? Is it the case that perhaps Indian markets are too lucrative for them? Or is it that perhaps Pakistan is not utilizing its soft power capabilities as it could?
No, thank you very much, Hassan. That's a very good question. You see, I think Pakistan has been acknowledged by the world. In President Trump's State of the Union address, he thanked Pakistan for apprehending a terrorist on its western border. Obviously, whatever foreign delegations have come to Pakistan, or if we've gone abroad, terrorism has been discussed, and Pakistan's services and Pakistan's sacrifices and Pakistan's contribution to world peace has always been acknowledged. But you see, in a situation where two states are involved, I think one has to make a lot of effort. And in this particular episode, I don't see India getting a lot of support as it expected. So, and Pakistan's stance of demanding an independent and impartial inquiry into this matter, I think Pakistan has proven that Pakistan has come to this issue with a clean hand. We have nothing to do with it. So the world obviously is playing its role in whatever way it can, very diplomatically, as it should, but I don't see India gaining a lot of support from the rest of the world.
Thank you very much. I'm Saima Shubhi from Arab News. And my question is that it has been learned that in its official letter it has been given to Pakistan, India has conveyed that Pakistan, along with addressing the terrorism, India requested Pakistan to renegotiate the Indus Waters Treaty for so many times. Is Pakistan considering some kind of renegotiation on this treaty? Because after almost half of a century, there are so many demographic changes which have been mentioned by India also. So, is there any chance to renegotiate it? And I do have another question. Please address this first.
We're on the lower riparian. Being on the lower riparian, we have more rights and we are entitled to more water being on the lower riparian. So if ever there is reconsideration of terms, which I don't see happening any time in the near future, then I think India will lose out and Pakistan will benefit from that.